Good afternoon, all, and welcome to this the restart of the Astor B. Watts Lunchtime Lectures, which, as you know, is a regular feature of our program here at the Democratic Labour Party headquarters, and we are certainly pleased to start the ball rolling for this new year of the Democratic Labour Party. Very important period, of course, but before I go any further, I'm going to ask Mr. Brother John Seeley to just lead us in a word of prayer. John? And you may remain seated if preferred. We all, it's John's choice. Of Mr. Caswell Franklin, who will deliver this first lecture. I probably know as much about Caswell as you do. I was thinking earlier this morning that there was a time in Barbados when you had an annual award. I believe it was the Nation newspaper in the early days for the controversial man of the year. I don't know if Caswell has ever won that award before, but I'm sure that today he would probably win it hands down for a couple of years well now. His outspokenness is well known in Barbados, and indeed, many times when what starts as being outspoken helps us, in other words, Barbados, to have that other perspective on what the circumstances that we are considering. I'm glad that we as a party have been able to bring Caswell to this forum this evening, this afternoon, and I hope that what he has to say sits well with us. Remember that the Democratic Labour Party is not about Ds. I tell people that I do not know what is a D and a B. I know human beings who can be persuaded from time to time to support one or another. And this persuasion requires that you make yourself, first of all, known, and then you make your ideas and policies fit with what the people are looking for. That is how, to my mind, political victories are won. I don't know how I can walk around and look at someone either in front or behind and say, well, there goes a B or there goes a D. I know we are all good, loving people in Barbados. And here in the Democratic Labour Party, we are dear, loving people. I must commend Caswell, of course, because if you look at his outfit, he's obviously gone and purchased blue trousers, a gold Democratic Labour Party shirt, unless he borrowed it from his good friend Derek. But he said, "Let me fit in to the crowd that I'm going to be speaking with." So thank you very much for that part of the presentation. And I'm sure that what he's going to speak on, that is pensions and pensions reform, is a very important topic in Barbados. And I don't even think the discussion has started. But certainly the points of view, both of himself independently and the party, in the Democratic Labour Party, that is, in terms of where we see the pension reform beginning, where we see some of the problems that may have brought us to the position that we are in with the pension reform, and understanding that any solution must be for all of Barbados. Caswell has a very good track record, and of course, his most recent public stint was that of being a senator in the party led by the Reverend Joseph Atherley between 2018 and 2022. And then himself and the young lady Crystal Drakes would have done a very important task in the Senate of Barbados, remembering, of course, that regrettably up to now we've had two political terms in which there has been no official opposition in the lower house. Of course, Reverend Atherley would have served that position between 2018 and 2022. Besides that, I'd be grateful if we can get our phones turned off, please. It's a very simple process. If you want me to show you, you can bring it to me. I'm going to sit over there. I'll turn it off for you. It really bugs me. It's one of the things during meetings in this. It really bugs me. It disturbs the speaker. It disturbs the presentation of the meeting because it goes over the airwaves. So please turn your phones off. And I'm serious. If you have a problem with turning it off, bring it by my desk when I sit down there, and I'll turn it off for you. I'm so serious. Caswell, of course, his official work nowadays is that of being General Secretary, President of the United Workers, Unity Workers Union, which is probably one of the only voices for workers in the island sometimes. You wonder where some of the other voices have suddenly disappeared to or disappeared. He has the answer, so I won't steal his thunder in that regard. He's whispered the answer to me, but I think he will share it with you. I mean, even as recent as the issue with the teachers' promotions or demotions or movements, last-minute movements, we heard from the former BUT president, Pedro Shepherd. We heard from the present leadership of the Barbados Union of Teachers, but certainly the secondary teachers union would have been the voice I thought we would have heard most of, because most of the movements were associated with the secondary schools in Barbados, whether the early secondary schools or what they call the newer secondary schools. So I certainly want to welcome you all to this presentation. Acknowledge the presence of our President Ronnie, who just joined us, Dr. Ronnie Herwood, General Secretary at the back. Many stalwarts of the party. Yvonne, who was in her last assignment for the government of Barbados, was our Consul General in Toronto, was it? I think I got that right. Well, I hope I've left no one out, but if I have, it's not delivered. Of course, Steve was a colleague in the House of Assembly and a former member of cabinet, like I was. So, without any more ado, as they say, allow me to introduce Mr. Caswell Franklin, who will deliver the first in this series of Astor B. Watts lectures. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for having me. John, I must admit, it was deliberate. I went digging through my wardrobe last night that I find it appropriate attire. This is probably almost as old as you. Yeah, but you know what they said? When in Rome, do like the Romans. And I'm disappointed that only one other person going yellow, you know. I go on both. Yeah. I'm extremely happy that you invited me because my purpose is to talk about pensions. They want to talk about pensions. They want everybody to know what this government is doing to people in this country. And I am not here as a DLP, DLPQR. I'm nothing. I'm just Caswell Franklin who make a noise about pensions. And whoever wants me, I told them if the DLP branch called me and asked me to talk about it going. Because I want people to be aware. Because a lot of people are not aware of what is happening here. And in any event, I believe that this government is the worst government we've ever had in the history of Barbados. And that they are the enemy of the working class people in this country. I represent the working class in my job. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I think I'm among friends. Now let me start about this pension thing. And before I do that, stop me anywhere because I don't like lectures. That's Ronnie's business. He's do that kind of thing. Me, I just talk to people and let them talk back to me and answer me and interrupt me and say, Casual, I don't understand this, or Casual, I don't think you're great. Just stop me anytime you feel like stopping. I ain't want to start and deliver in a professor. All right. Let's start about this pension reform, how it started. The government is in an IMF program, and every prime minister of Barbados, but except for Bree, he didn't last long enough. He only lasted for 3 months. You fellas took him out too quickly, and so he was the only prime minister that rejected the IMF proposals to cut pensions. We can't afford free secondary education, free tertiary education, and we can't afford free health care. Every other prime minister of Barbados told them, no, these things are not negotiable. We are a socialist country. Our outlook is socialist, and we want the people, the rich, we tax them, and we help the poor. Now we have another kind of government now who rips off the rich, rips off the poor, and gives to the rich. It's a kind of reverse Robin Hood situation. Yeah, a bunch of crooks. And there, I didn't say it there. And they come to you and they'll lie. The first lie about this pension reform thing is that the IMF did an actuarial study on the government pension plan, and they determined that the pensions were too high, and that's why the reform was started. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. That is a lie, an absolute lie. You want to know how you know? Ask Harrison. He's in here somewhere. Where you going? Look at there. You ever heard about a public service pension plan yet? There is none. So when the IMF did this actuarial study, they did an actuarial study on something that did not exist. They should have existed because the pension arrangements were put in place since 1925, and then the subsequent act in 1947. And what should have happened, the government should have been putting down money every month toward your pension. It was never done. What government did is to pay pensions from current revenues of their salaries. So nobody ever had a pension plan. The first pension plan that the government will have is now, with this current legislation starting on the 1st of January 2024. So there is no way on God's earth that the IMF, and I heard IMF representatives say that they did an actuarial study, and I heard the Prime Minister with that too. So I know they're both lying. But I don't know the IMF people bad enough, but I know the Prime Minister will pull a fast one on you every opportunity she gets, even if you're not necessary. I think her position, she has a default position in the lane. She defaults to a lie, and then, she might come out, I didn't have to say that, because the truth wouldn't hurt. But she lies every time, so you got to watch her. Right? No, I'm very serious about that. There is no public service pension plan for anybody. The IMF, any actuary to review, there is none. So that's the first thing that caught my attention when I heard them saying that they will have the review this public service pension plan. Anyhow, they have actually gone ahead and they did two pieces of legislation on the 28th of July. That was the Friday. Then the 29th, Saturday, Sunday, then you have the two bank holidays, the Guygon bank holiday and Kaduma there. And then it passed on the Friday. That was a Friday. So to make sure that the public didn't get a chance to discuss it. Because the Monday and Tuesday would have been jumping up, people walking up on the streets and stuff. You know what that's all about. So they didn't want you to be aware of what is happening with this, with the national insurance arrangements and with the public service arrangements. I'm going to speak to the public service ones first. Every public servant who is pensionable is entitled to a pension after 10 years service. You're entitled to a pension. And I'm not going through formulas now because nobody can listen. But trust me when I tell you that the maximum pension for a public officer is after 33 and a third years. A lot of people did not know or are not aware that these new arrangements have taken your maximum pension, the full pension, to qualify for a full pension at the maximum level to 40 years. Yeah, it's gone back to 40 years. They changed the formula, but when you work the formula, you have to work for 40 years in order to get 2/3 of your salary as a pension. Previously, it should be 33 and a third. Years ago, when Tom Malloy was prime minister, he changed it to 40. And when they had unions, the unions fought it. And Tom was forced to reverse that decision. But he only reversed it for the public service proper. He left the statutory boards at 40 years. Public servants have now gone up again to 40 years without any so much as a whimper from, I know Walter would be crying now and vexed because he was president of the NUPW for how many years now? For a good few years. And, you know, when you were in an organization like that and you see it crumbling, you can't feel good. I know how you feel, you know. I don't feel your pain, mind you, because I get the members, right? So I really don't feel your pain. I understand how you feel. But only yesterday, a whole set of people from Bar came and inundated my office. Welcome, of course. You know, so and they are complaining because, and again, going to these little things ever so often. The general secretary of NUPW is on the board of BRA. He is there to represent the workers' interests. But you don't tell him nothing. He's on the National Insurance Board and he's on the hospital board. You don't see, but whoever had the last set of strikes and last upheaval, he's on the board. I'll tell you something. Remember the hospital there with the fellows with the incinerator? He's on that board as well. Wherever there's upheaval in the public service, he's on the board. But the problem is, you know, John said he don't know what a B is. Richard Green. Okay? And you would not know. The other union, other major union, they have been bought lock, stock, and barrel. Frank Walker must be rolling in his grave now. He's a man that I had a lot of respect for, and I knew his work. When Frank Walker was a member of the Democrat Labour Party, and Barrow did things that Walker didn't like, you know, it should be a strike. Going good. I hope you all remember that, you know. Walker didn't mix it too. No, these people have their political interests so paramount that the party is always right. And don't care what they do. They didn't cry out when the government didn't tell the workers, we changing your pension formula, we changing these kind of things, and we can make you contribute towards your pension. Because, you know, in this new legislation, you're going to contribute towards your pension. you're going to contribute if you are working for more than the national insurance maximum, which is right now, which is $5,120 a month. If you are working for that, you pay 5% of your salary, so that wipes out the 3% you get. Right? So they take it back. And if you're working for less, they're going to take 2% to contribute to your pension plan. Over the years, I've argued, and I will continue to argue, that a public servant, under these current arrangements, not the ones that will come in January, pension is worth 25% of his salary. That is why public officers who are on contract, they get a gratuity in lieu of pension. So at the end of your contract period, they keep 5% and you 20. So you get a lump sum of 20% of your salary that should have gone for your pension. But because you're not entitled to pension, they give it to you. So what happened to that 25% for the other people who didn't get it up front? Because if the two of you are sitting in the same office doing the same job, but you're on contract and you are not, you're pensionable, he gets 20% more salary than you. So the arrangement was that you would get a 25% save for you. It was a forced saving. That was the original concept of the pension plan in Barbados. Or people didn't understand or don't want to understand. They're saying, oh, we are contributing to the pension plan and it's hurting government and all kind of stuff. But government is paying civil servants cheaply for too long. The type of work that civil servants do, if they were in the private sector, you couldn't pay them. But they get paid. So the trade-off was that you can get them a pension when they get old. But I have a great difficulty with the politicians who sit down and decide that they should get their pensions at 50, at 50 years. So if you lose your seat, you go and get your pension at age 50. It started, pensions for parliamentarians started in 1969. In those days, both the civil servants, the retirement age, pensionable age was 55. So Barbara put the two of them together. So both were at 55 in 1969. Today, parliamentarians are at 50, and they're going to take the civil servants up to 68, 18 years later. That can't be fair. And don't tell me because you lose your seat. I'm an expert at losing jobs. As a matter of fact, I lost the job at NUPW 3 times. I got fired from NUPW 3 times. But I didn't go and say, well, I want my pension now. I want to look for something else to do. And that's what somebody at 50 should do when you don't longer have a job. Don't argue like Miss Thompson. I have to call her Miss Thompson. Who is saying, oh, they don't have any unemployment benefits and all kind of stuff. If you want unemployment benefits, go and work. Go and look for a job. Because the older politicians, the ones I grew up under, by and large, offered something to this country. They made a sacrifice to serve this country. No, you have people in the house that can barely read. I'm serious. You remember the first year and then I had thing? I saw one of them reading the thing and he says he swear pledge allegiance to Her Majesty, her heirs, and success. I said, how come he said the Majesty's heirs is Prince Philip? And but he didn't make him a parliamentary secretary, and then subsequently a deputy speaker who can't talk, who could barely read. Not that I'm crediting anybody, but he used to be her father's messenger, clean the yard and stuff. The running, he won. But prior to that, becoming an MP, the best job he ever had was watching old men sleep in the Clyde Center. I kid you not. You know, the guy got outside the bed, old man, I don't got no home to live. He used to go in there, sit up and let watch the old man sleep and see who pee. You know? And then they put him in the house. So now the house will do something for him. And there are, there are a lot of others in there who are, when you underemployed or unemployed, when they into the house. So that is where they got to come up with these fancy arrangements. That's where they got to make everybody a minister. You must recall, when Franklin Stewart was prime minister, Mayor Motley said that the cabinet was too large. The cabinet had 17, including Frandl. And she said that Barbados has 5 more ministers than necessary. And then she came in and did exactly that. She got 26. So 26, according to her, is less than 12. Because she said 12 is the most you need. Then she went put 26. So don't mind nigger mouth, mind the actions. But we get back to pensions. So at age 50, a parliamentarian can get his pension and sit down and laugh because he's going to get half of his salary if he served 8 years, or 2/3 if he served 2/3 if he served 33 and 30 years. No, that's for politicians. 12 years, sorry. 12 years, if you're an MP, you get your full salary. And then you have to serve 33 and 30 years to get what an MP gets in 12. And then bad enough. Now they take it to 40 for public servants. Theirs is still 12. So they will get the same benefit that you will get after 40 years. They would have gotten after 12 years. They're thinking only of themselves. This country is supposed to make something of them. For the most in the body. And I had to tell a lady at the Revenue Authority, because she's telling the staff, you know my husband is? And I say, yes, he's in the body. So she don't speak to me now. But I answered the question. He's one of our boys, Walter, but you know, that was a, like on the handball. You know, you can't ball like me that and not tell me they hit it. You see, I mean, you know my husband is? I say, yeah, he in the body. And she bets. But I don't want to do that to him, but she balled the ball. Yeah. But there's something I want you to watch. The only people that get a pension earlier than MPs are soldiers. Yeah. Soldiers get their pension after 15 years service at age 45. But you gotta make the soldiers feel good, you know, because when people country rebel, you know what can happen. And you gotta watch it how they're doing it. I was in the Senate. I opposed that aspect of the bill where Sherlin, who not a common, he was older than the chief of staff, who was reaching retirement age. So they retired the chief of staff, up the age, and bring back a fellow who was older than him. Yeah. So I start getting suspicious because anything that woman does, you got something wrong with it. You got to. When I feel that she's making sure the defense force is there to prop her up, because right now I see people who are wearing t-shirts and red t-shirts and male carriers, walking bareback now. You know, and some still ain't see the light of day yet. But that's your job now. You gotta show them. I'll do a little thing by myself now. You know, every month I make sure that whatever fees I get, I give some to people who are less fortunate. And people will come to my office. And if I have, I give. And there's only one man who I ever return. I said, leave my expedient office. Because he tell me he ain't got no food, he ain't got nothing in the house, and he hungry. I was so angry when he told me so. The man had a t-shirt, my mayor cares. And coming away always begging for food. You know, I didn't think, that might be your only shirt at the time. But it shows the kind of brainwashing. Mind you, those things were made illegal by Tom Adams. You know that. Those t-shirts. I handed them out, saying it was also illegal. But they break every law to get whatever they want. And if they don't break the law, they can change it to suit themselves. That is why we have a person called Commodore Sherlin, who is older than the last chief of staff, who had to retire because he reached retirement age. She changed retirement age after they retire him and bring Sherlin. And Sherlin is older than him. Yeah, I know. I went to school with both of them, but I was a big boy in the crowd, So I know we were cadets together. I know them. I know them well. So I don't know how to get involved. But the pension arrangements for civil servants, they changed the formula, the way they do it. Now, this new formula, I just did one calculation to demonstrate the point. The old formula, if you work for 20 years service at $5,000 a month, it's only the last 3 years that you get a pension based on. So if in the last 3 years you were making $5,000 a month, your pension would be $24,000 per annum. Under the new method, it would be $20,400. So they are fulfilling their master's orders because the IMF is trying to do this, You don't think that the Barbados Labour Party got a clue or anybody said that know what they're talking about? They are taking instructions from their masters. And the masters say they got to cut pensions. And they cut them without having any regard for the people. And then they're silly enough to come at the press conference when she pays in the courtesy call to Barbados, because she doesn't live here. So when she pays the courtesy call to Barbados, first thing she's wanting to know, she's holding a press conference. And at one of those press conferences, somebody tell me, because I don't watch them, that she said something like, oh, Barbados got the highest pension in the Caribbean. Go and type in cost of living index, Trinidad and Tobago. Everything now there's a third of what we got here. So of course you can get less pension because you are getting far more for your Trinidad dollar than we are getting for our Barbados dollar. But then I hear other people mouthing that. So that's what you got to do. You people got to get up and when they say these things, hit them back and should let people see. Don't allow her to get away with this nonsense. She get away with it too long. Okay? But I can say because we only got an hour, right? So let me wrap up this thing by telling you public servants pay national insurance from their salaries to qualify for national insurance pension. When you get the retirement age for the national insurance pension age, because civil service go home at 60, 65, whatever, you will get your pension from the Treasury. But when you reach national insurance retirement age, the pension that you are getting is reduced by the amount that you get from national insurance. And in most cases, especially people who are earning less than the national insurance maximum, the national insurance pension is where you put the Treasury pension. So you're already getting a pension from the Treasury after you reach retirement age. But look what happens here. You are not going to be asked to contribute to a pension plan. That when you reach retirement age for national insurance pension, will be going to wipe it out. So you can actually pay for two pensions to get one. That is pension reform. DLP style. You pay for two pensions and you can only get one. But the problem here is that they didn't ventilate these things. The only body I hear other than myself ventilating it was Walter. Yeah, you forget. I heard you on brass tacks showing people that they can get $52 more on the pension if the salary is so much and so much. And they're going to check back your figures, you're right. I didn't quote you and then get it wrong and all do wrong. Maybe laugh at both of us. So I actually then checked back what you were telling me, and I said, look, I didn't see it at first. Honestly, I didn't see it at first. It's only when you said it that I went back and started checking to realize that these people put a fast one on the civil service in this country. It's as simple as that. You're going to be paying for two pensions. Once you're paying for one and getting two. No, you're paying for two and getting one. That is pension reform, DLP style. But you know what is palatable for a lot of people? They're going to apply it to the people who coming in to the service. So a fellow can say, it ain't going to bother me because they're going to get my pension. We are not our brothers keepers anymore. And that is our biggest problem in Barbados, We don't look out for the other fella. As long as it didn't pension me. There was a German priest, Martin Nimol, I think his name was. He said it, and they came for the trade union. They said it was not a trade union, so he didn't do nothing, And he came for the socialist. He wasn't a socialist. And he said, but no, then he came for me and nobody represent me. That is what's going to happen to each and every one of you. Because if you don't stand up for the other people, when your turn comes, nobody will stand up for you. Trust me when I tell you that the national insurance arrangements, now I'm going to get into national insurance arrangements, will not affect me. I might look nice and young and thing, but I old. So just taking care of myself. And it will not affect me. My pension will not be reduced because I'm way past 60. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at the mirror, I don't even see it now. So I'm way past 60, so it's not going to bother me. But I could not. As a matter of fact, people are saying that guys will he sell out because I ain't hearing you talking about nothing. But I was pissed off. Trust me when I tell you so, because I talk all over my head, all over my face, and then the people in this country turn around and give you 30 seats again. So I didn't vex. Honestly, I was vexed as hell. And I said, well, that's what I want. Then I keep it. But when she attacked national insurance, I said, I got to come out. So you realize that I only start back talking for a minute, probably national insurance thing. Because the land, people chewing their own juice, because anything that's chewing juice is be good. And I said, look, let them suffer. They wanted that, let them get it. I remember sitting in the Senate and complaining daily. Every time I go in there, people would give you a bill. I get it. After you reach a certain age, you get by the night or not, you can put it in bed. So I get up to do that bodily function, and I look at my computer. I was like, computer on. I see email, hit it. A bill to debate it tomorrow. I go and complain. Another fella didn't support me, except for Crystal and Monique. Those people, the three people in the Senate that, and God for you mentioned Crystal and me, but you forgot Monique. Yeah. Monique used to be punching above her bit and say there, but she's still there, thank God. But they make sure that they do these things in the dark. I'm complaining, I'm on my feet, and I'm complaining that I only get the bill last night. And while I'm talking, the clerk jerked me on my back, hand me another bill, and tell me that for later. And so you serious, and they don't care because they don't want you to know what they're doing. Don't take it from me, one. Ask John, ask anybody who's in the House or in the Senate. A bill is supposed to be laid. You read it the first time they say, and then you send it for printing, and the printer, not shut the printer, you know that. But then they already shut it down. They don't get the paper. This is about 4 weeks now. I was trying to get. I was organizing a training session. I want to get some acts and legislation, some other pieces of legislation. And the printer tell me, no, I gotta come back. and they give me a week. And then when the week gone, come back and tell me, well, we still ain't ready yet. They make print me on the paper. I am told not even toilet paper. Sometimes. But they don't want you, the average man, to know what is going on in this country. So they bring the bills and they pass it in all of its stages in one day. And that's what they did also with the national insurance arrangement. But I have this thing about reading. From the time I was big enough to read, my grandmother used to always give me books. As a matter of fact, the only gift my grandmother ever gave me were books. Everything. And she used to work by a plantation. She used to wash the clothes for the white people. And when the white people got the books there, you could see some of them like the books ain't open yet. And they get into the sheet and give me. And I used to read them, and I read them, and I read them. I used to read everything. So I got this habit about reading. So every time I see something, I read it. Even if I don't understand. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I can't understand the thing that got inside there. They're the Hindu holy book. But I don't know about it, but I read it. I read everything. So when they brought this piece of legislation, the national insurance thing, I sat down with a pencil and I got the National Insurance Act. And when they said amend here and put in this, I wrote them in my pencil. And the thing that troubled me, and this should trouble everybody in Barbados, the National Insurance Fund will now be managed by the state. Who is the state? The state is the Prime Minister and her cabinet. And they will take the funds. And if they're going to invest the funds, the state will advise the Minister of Finance. So Mayor Motley, in one incarnation, will advise Mayor Motley in another one how to invest the National Insurance Fund. That is in the legislation. If you don't make it, because I know people want to challenge me on it. So I brought it just in case. So I made that disclosure on brass tacks. And they sacrificed poor Leslie Haynes. They sent Leslie Haynes to argue the point. And he said it was a mistake. It could not have been a mistake. You want to know why? That was in August when he said it was a mistake. But the Barbados today of May 30th, 2023, he was interviewed by the Barbados today, and he made that disclosure. It wasn't a mistake, it was a plan. But they got outed. So they're trying now to recover and say, oh, that was a mistake. If it was a mistake, they rushed the parliament to pass it. Why did they not rush the parliament to do the amendment? Because they're hoping that people will forget. And Mayor Motley will have her hands in the cookie jar, the national insurance cookie jar. She will control the fund because they said, and they didn't make it obvious. They said, and this is what the amendment said. Wherever you see the word in our parts 2 to 6, wherever you see the word board, change it to state. So that does not say to anybody that the government will look. They're looking at it at first glance. They didn't say, oh, that the government will be taking over the fund. But that's the effect. That is the effect. You trust me about your money? I don't. I'm very sorry for you. But she now has control over all the money in the treasury now, because right now, if you see the amount of people she has working for her, she has more consultants than every other prime minister of Barbados put together. But they're doing it like too many cooks spoil the broth. because when she cook up something, it's be messed up because she got too many people advising her, and that's the situation that we come to in Barbados. So don't forget, it was not a mistake, but they tried to hide what they were doing in the legislation. I brought it along because all this legislation that is how many pages? 23 pages. 23 pages of fluff. And you wonder why I call it fluff? There's more 23 here. Like I say, I'm blind again, blind. It's 34, 5, they're numbered 6, 7, 8, 38 pages of fluff. And one of the things they tell you that they want to do is to establish it as a statutory board. Barr did that. I don't know what you're about. Barr he did that in 1966. The National Insurance was a board from 1966. So these people want to change it from a board to a board. They should have get the hint when you see the thing called the National Insurance Board, you know. I would have thought that if you see some National Insurance Board, you would have said, listen, like it's a board here. No, they change it from a board to be a board. But all they did really is to seize the fund and seize the staff. Because at inception, our Barrow argued, and because he didn't have to argue too much, you know, he said this is what happened. He said he doesn't want the National Insurance Board concerning itself with who got work late and who got how much sick leave and all kind of stuff. They should be dealing with the fund because this fund can be big. He predicted that it will be big. He don't know about me. Come in. And so he decided let the people who got that personnel deal with personnel issues. So he made the National Insurance staff public officers. It was the only board in Barbados, but that had arrangements. You handle the fund. You deal with this money. You concentrate on the money. You know where who want vacations the boy can get that kind of thing. We want you to make sure this money is well invested and taken care of. Concentrate on that. No, they bring that. I mean, Leslie hands, mistake. And sorry about that, but you know, a slip of the tongue. You must remember where you are. And it doesn't know anything about accounts, nothing. But he's the chairman. And they put things in his mouth and you don't understand them, so he's mouthed them and thought the wrong thing. So he is now arguing that they can make it a board. All that board has to do is to follow the legislation that is already there. There is nothing that they propose in this legislation that cannot be accomplished in the current legislation. Nothing. But worse yet, but we got a lot of lawyers in here. There's a guy who come in and see Harrison, we got a lot of lawyers in here. And I hope that you guys will back me up. How many times have you seen in any legislation where people put job descriptions? You don't put job descriptions in legislation, but they have the job descriptions of 8 new chiefs. There's a chief executive officer, chief financial officer, chief people development officer, chief operations officer, chief investment officer, chief policy and planning officer, chief risk management officer, and chief internal auditor. Whole bunch of chiefs, and then you see one space for Indian. Bare chiefs. And they put they secure these people by putting job descriptions in the legislation. So anytime at all you want to change that valid job description, I think you don't only got to get consent, but you got to go to Parliament. Never seen it before. But they wanted to hide what they were doing in a lot of fluff, so they put this in the legislation. And then they did all of that. They decide they're going to change the amount of money you're going to get after all this, after you contribute. Bearing in mind, National Insurance age used to be 65. And I can go back to 1989. In 1989, I was working, but I think I got fired that year from a year after that from NUPW. That was my first firing, I think. I was on a NUPW sent me on a pension a committee, and we were told that at that committee that the National Insurance Fund will go bust by 2035. Let me get a little bit of water here, please. It will go bust by 2035 if they don't make enough change, if they don't make substantive changes. Those changes didn't happen just prior to the 1991 elections because it'd be foolish to go and penalize people and then try to go and run. So Sandifer did not. He's a politician, he wasn't a fool. So he delayed implementing any changes until after the election. But then, well, but all hell broke loose. Yeah, that's a fact. All hell broke loose, and then the government collapsed, and Oinafa came in, and Oinafa then put in place all the recommendations. One, he took the retirement age from 65 to 66, to 65 and a half to 66, 67 and a half, down to 67, sorry. Then they changed the formula for calculating national insurance to give you less money. They then also make you pay more national insurance contributions. And the funds started to grow again. So we thought that we were out of the woods. Government borrowed money from National Insurance Fund with the intention to pay back. But you know, mortgages don't pay back. And it's a genetic thing. So when she first came into office, she decided that she'd pay back the body, including the national insurance. And there was a debt of 1.3 billion, bill with a B. And she decided she ain't paying back that. But look at me. This young man here lent me some money. And they can say to him, you know, thanks for lending me some money, but I ain't paying back. It don't work so. The borrower don't decide if to pay back. But because the borrower is government, they can say that, and it's not their money. National insurance money is held in trust by the National Insurance Board to pay pensions and the other national insurance benefits. That's what it's there for. And if there's a surplus, you can invest. That is what the board is supposed to do. Nobody should say she can take it back. And then I read in the actuarial report, though, the last one, where it said that this write-off of that $1.3 billion is responsible for building finance. I saw that on my own too. I said, boy, tell me. I read it. Read the executive summary. So if I didn't hide it. And she's blaming everybody else. But the actuary said it is she. You know? So I'm glad the actuary wasn't Walter because they said that he trying to tell us them. But their one actuary that they were going to fire in Bahamas and they brought him here, he determined that it was that 1.3 billion write-off that has endangered the National Insurance Fund. They are not saying that. So they decided now they're gonna fix it. Mind you, I pay my national insurance, you know. And I'm expecting that when I reach this retirement age, I can get my money. But no. What they did, they said, look, the national insurance, if you want to qualify for a pension, you now have to have 750 contributions up from 500. But you know why that is dangerous for a lot of people? I've actually counseled people who couldn't get promoted in the public service to leave the public service and go to the business. And some of them have gone to the states. Make sure you got your 500 contributions so you got a pension when if things don't work out there. So you left Barbados, going to work in the States, hoping that when your time comes, you will be able to get your pension. You better get back here fast and put in another 250 contributions or you get a pension. That's what she did. So there are a lot of people and they got calls from Connecticut and someplace in Texas People asking me what to do. I say, go come back home and work. This is what, because it is short-sighted, because all you want to do is get your hand on the money. You're not thinking how it's going to affect people. You left Barbados knowing full well, don't care what happened to me. When I get back home, I got my pension stored. Molly on stored. Yeah. So people now are going to be in trouble. So if you don't get sorted out, and some of those people will tell you, in the states legally, so let me get the sources here now, they are going to come back home and they're going to give them back some of the money they contributed as a grant, and then they got to go and live at the aunt. If you aunt like them. And that's if you just about things which she went up there. You know, so this is what she does. They have a way of converting people into poor people. Usually poor people are making it worse. And this is what they have done with their amendments in National Insurance Fund. They're going to get less pension, they're going to pay more. And you're going to be longer for it. But I feel like me, look and see who going to let me on a Sunday. So I look to paper, and now all of a sudden I see a lot 38, 42, 56, and think, might do a lot of it back. But yeah, that's a different thing. But the fact remains that a lot of people are checking out early. So you're gonna put all that money in national, you're gonna see a cent of it. Yeah, well, you're gonna see a cent of it. Your family gonna get $2,000 and $2,300 as a funeral grant, but that's all. You know, it's everybody know. I got my mother died last year, and I get back that money. She died in December, so I said I get my, so I know how much it is. No, I paid them up front. Hoping to get back money, you know, they give me back yet. But you know, they are doing these things and telling people we don't your interest, best interest. No, they are doing it, one, because they're incompetent and know what they're doing and taking advice from the wrong people. Trust me when they tell you, you have too many people in government that ain't got a clue. Abrams, Dale Marshall, Mayor Motley. You know, they are incompetent. They don't think and they don't consult. They are now consulting after the fact. When this bill was passed in the Senate, the National Insurance and Social Security Amendment Bill 2023, when this was passed in the lower house, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, bank holidays. And then it was supposed to get passed in the Senate. I get on real bad. I keep bear noise. And so the Senate pulled back and get somebody from National Insurance to come and explain the bill to them. They were going to pass it, but don't know what it was. I ain't kidding you, that happened. They then arrange, instead of having the Senate meet, the Senate called the order, they adjourn it, and bring people from National Insurance and the actuaries to come in there and explain the thing that they were supposed to have passed that same there. That shows how this government behaves. They put us in the dark. The man explain in the house. The house is a yes sir, 3 by 12 house. Whatever Motley proposes, nobody says anything about it. An MP. This is how my Senate career came to an end. A current MP. It can't be the DLP MP. So you know what they told me, as my told them, that, you know, I had the nurses on strike. And Sandra Husbands at a parliamentary group meeting tell the Prime Minister, you should meet with Caswell. And so they say, you know, and the woman blew up, went ballistic. A few people supported her, and she said, for true. And she shut down the place and called elections. Because nobody in there could tell her what to do. And that is the type of administration you got. And we got men in there, and people that said they haven't got the balls. But No, I prefer what Louis tell me. Louis tell me they got balls, but they got the hair upon them. That's all. You know, so there are a lot of little boys. A lot of little boys in there, huh? But that's the fact. They got the hair upon them. They're little boys. They're, huh? Well, sometimes, but no. I don't. I ain't going that way. I ain't going that way. I see a fella making some things and in the mumbo, and he said all this kind of thing that there's strap on, all kind of, but he never see them. But I never see them either. So I can't speak to that. All I want the people in this country to do is to stand up for yourselves, stand up for each other, because these people are doing what they like. And if you got a friend that ain't got no job, if she got a friend that got a job and he ain't got no skills, she find a job for him. Or she find a pay a pack, call your consultant. So far, I've been offered 4 jobs. Yeah. Because somehow she thinks that I would be amenable to quite poor. I wear old clothes. I'm poor. So she comes with bribes, trying to entice me. The first job she offered me was she was going to make the Public Service Commission a full-time thing, and Caswell, you'll be the best man for that job. I said, we were at a national security briefing. So the National Security Council was briefing the entire parliament. And I said, Prime Minister, well, I agree with you that I'd be best man for that job. If we took it, we won't got no good training in this, left you got all. She went for she still there and get another one. I am ashamed of what our unions have become. And I argued. I remember when they had the NSRL march, they called me. And I can duck when they said what you gotta say. When they asked me, I said, listen to me. I said, you see this government, I'm gonna want to get rid of them. All them guys in there black. I am not joining any white people to take them down. Yes, we want them down, but I ain't going to join with white people. So I'm gonna go and march by myself. And anybody from my union marching, they're marching without the union's permission, so they can fire them. So my unit did not march. And that was the best tax. I'll tell you why. When you bring stuff into the country, you have to pay the tax. But these merchants prefer VAT that they can steal and then get them written off. Because certain people's father, I'm not calling any names. I'm not calling any names. I know you're laughing at. Certain people's father did not pay any taxes between 1968 and 2000. And then you go and write off the taxes for that you cannot find that the records that you had to clean up. That is not true. The records, here's the legal clerk. Go into the registration department. All it know. They got some books to make sure look. All them in there still. That's where they are because there were judgments of the court registered in those books. They ain't going nowhere. But they justify that. And then now when they ain't got the money because they ain't going after people, they come after the people who already pay national insurance. Making me pay twice. I'm making you pay twice. But their fathers serve, whatever they call them these days, go and don't pay taxes from 68 to 2068 at the time. Or when VAT came into being in 1990s, 7, pay VAT between 1997 and 2000. And got nothing to get right off. And that is fair to the people of this country. And people, but I suppose it's fair because they're voting for them again. So that got you gotta like it. But I suspect, it is like a woman that's boyfriend is beat you all the time. This after a while is enjoyed and then I know it's just happening. We get beat up all the time, like a battered woman. I be taking it, but I ain't taking it. But if you're not taking it, join me tomorrow and march with me. Because they march and they can march every other week from down by Kensington at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And I can march. If there's one man behind that truck, I can march. Because I want to expose their nastiness to the light. I want people to see. I want people to see. Because you see, one time Parliament, people were able to discuss what happened on the programs and things because they used to know what's going on. They decide that they're going to publish everything online now, so they don't print the official gazette anymore. You ever try to get a gazette? Says these people they don't get them. So when a bill comes before the House, a bill is supposed to be circulated in the country for them to tell you, for the government to say, this is what we propose to do for you. But they pass it in one day, and then they still have to publish the bill because the law requires you to publish it. So what, in essence, they are saying to you is, this is what we propose to do for you that we have already done. And people taking that. And the big joke is, they have not gotten it right once. The only thing that they did in the House that didn't have to go back and change was the parliamentary salaries. Check it out. I make a sport. Every time they go in, they go come back and amend because they're rushing to it and do it badly. The only thing that they did not have to change is the parliamentary salaries. And that is another scandal because the top 1% of the people in the public service get allowances. The top 1%. So you raise the allowances by 10%. And the other people get 3, and then 3. But you get 10 and then 10 on the allowances. So, and the unions sit down and take that. But Walter can tell you that there's a provision in the UPW, when it was there enough, it was still there all know that when the union negotiate for you, the staff will get the same increase. So the general secretary can get 10% at the top, plus the 3. And the other people down the bottom, like you people here, they only get 3% and then 3%. So the unions are taking care of themselves and they're taking care of the Barbara Labour Party. I ain't telling nobody to come and join Unity. I ain't telling you to do that. I got my job here today. Let me go outside and tell you. But what I want you to do is to support me to bring light to the nastiness these people are doing. Let me do something. See, then I'm gonna share a minute. When they had it, and I said, who the march in front? Who up front? Me and Molly was up front. First person. I remember time we were marching in town again, and Parliament was meeting. And we came up, and when we get by the House Assembly, me and rush out, I got the people in front of the march, and walk from the house to Melwani's, and turn back. But she was on the front page of the paper, and I said, you see, when I go come and march from Melwani's too, you know what I mean? Because this is not about Casper right now. I am happy to stay home and play with Snow. You know, and Snow, she's recovering from an accident. She attacked a motorcycle and I gave him second. But it's not my dog. you know the fellas come on the back wheel and then, she can't take that noise, so she attacked him, man. She lost badly. But I'm happy to stay back because trust me when I tell you, I am not interested in becoming an MP. I did that the Senate thing because Reverend Ali asked me to, and I felt, what the hell, I can try it, you know. But I wasn't aspiring. I wasn't aspiring to think because if I was aspiring to think, I would have run for St. Thomas because Molly. But the second job she asked me is to run for St. Thomas. She would want to go Cynthia Ford and put me. But when I refused her, she took out Glenn Clark and put Stoney Moore. And I've said that too many times. I've said it on the platform. I said all over the place I could talk about. She never denied it because she wants to silence me. And people, Sherlin can tell you, because he know me from the time I was this big. I didn't keep my nose all like that, Sherlin. Remember? I ain't stopping now. My primary school teacher saw me at a funeral, my cousin's funeral a few weeks ago, and Mr. Brathwaite, and he said, "Yes, but I always knew you were going to turn out so, you know." He said, "I remember when you came to me, you were 10. You came to me and said, Mr. Brathwaite, you aren't fearing these boys. You getting the boys, getting boys and hard lashing, getting the girls a little slight lashing. That ain't fair." I didn't make a noise to people back then. I ain't gonna stop no. Right? So he reminded me of that just a couple of weeks ago. I am here. I hate injustice, and this country is full of it. And they make sure they get the injustice meted out to us. And some people can be vexed with me, no, but I really don't care. So they stack the court where they are opposed to. They have stacked the courts where they are opposed to. No, I'm going to go on and say something else, but not saying that this person is a yard fool. Okay? I filed a case against the government when they had the COVID regulations because and we brought precedents going back from 1610 to show that all legislation, all subsidy legislation must be laid in Parliament, either by affirmative resolution, meaning that you still got to pass it, or negative resolution, meaning laid in the House, and if nobody objects, it remains good law. None of the COVID regulations have set foot in the House yet. None. So I put them in court. And the judge, she said, well, this is an interesting case and stuff, and we can do it quickly because it's an important matter and stuff. And so she heard it quickly. When she finished, she read her decision. And of course, I lost. Despite the evidence, I lost. But I don't mind losing fairly. So I instructed my lawyers, and my lawyers is Neil, Neil St. Philip South. Because I don't trust the beast around into me. I never had to be a lawyer yet. Michael Lash used to be my lawyer first. Even when I was working for them, Michael Lash used to work for me. I don't trust them. And we decided we're going to appeal. But we put in the appeal and we put in a basic appeal until we could get the transcript. When we got the decision, she said she will had a few typographical errors and she will bring it back to us in 30 days. She will give us the written thing in 30 days. 13 months later, I still haven't gotten the 30-day thing. So I went to the Nation in Barbados today and I talked my head off and I put some of the paper, some of which they couldn't print. And quick, so she got up and I asked her the thing and she gave the decision. I sat down in court and listened to the decision. The new decision now, I got it. I read it. I said, but then what she said, when she gave the oral thing, something wrong here. Hal, I want the transcript. We go on to the Court of Appeal. We tell the Court of Appeal, we didn't get the transcript yet, so we can't proceed with the appeal. The court ordered them to produce the transcript. 6 months later, they adjourn the case and give you 6 months down the road. 6 months later, we still didn't get a transcript yet. So 2 weeks ago now, the Court of Appeal ordered them to give you the transcript again. But when you don't answer the Court of Appeal, you got good backing. That's what we tell you, pervert the normal course of justice in this place by putting the yard folks and the minions and every kind of thing in all the places where you can get justice. And the thing is, they're following IMF dictates to treat our people. All IMF is telling you is Barbados is too well off, and they give people too much benefits. So you gotta get rid of some of them. And that idiot, that prime minister, just jump in and do it to us. Pensions, national insurance. Hospital can come next. Then when you go to Canberra, you gotta pay too. You bet. All because we have people with more ambition than ability sitting in the house right now. It's really sad. I think I should close here. And anybody asks me any questions, I'm happy to. What time is it? And the two are good. We got enough time to ask questions. Yes, yes.
You can remain the other start questions from here. So if there are any questions, you can just show your hand. We'll allow you 15 minutes of questions to you.
That was comprehensive.
I think I'm nervous for some of these careers. Sorry, where people grow here and all that. But that would be at the time one.
Yeah, yes.